He's Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen
Joe?
and Jacoby. What is it that we do?
We give the people what they want.
There is a new head coach in the Chicago Bulls franchise. There is a huge game tonight in the Eastern Conference Finals, but we start with the Nuggets dominating the first three quarters against the Lakers and then holding off the Lakers in the fourth to take a 1-2, still down in the series. But what do you think of the performance from the Nuggets?
Well, we're the Denver Nuggets News Network, along with the Arizona Cardinals, because we've been driving this bandwagon for years. And we talked about yesterday how Murray needed to get going in order for them to get their first victory. And not only was he making big-time buckets, Jacoby, you see the late threes, but he was also playmaking and allowing Joker to be more effective and efficient and not have to do everything for them to actually get a high percentage shot. So I was particularly impressed by Jamal Murray and also Jokic. You already know that it's not healthy, the crush I have on the Joker. It's because he's so unorthodox, Jacoby. He's not the fastest. He doesn't jump the highest. But you know what he understands? The real estate out on the floor, and the Joker does a great job of getting in position to make high percentage plays for himself and his teammates, and he never seems to get sped up. He's dominating the Lakers front, in particular, jumping off both feet. Look at that. Look at this, Jacoby. Look at the 7-footer jumping off both feet, getting buckets. Soft touch.
Jumping off the right foot in front of Anthony Davis and then jumping off the left foot in front of LeBron James. Both those were from about 18 and 19 feet. What a great game from him. But we know what we're going to get from that duo, Murray and Jokic. They've been excellent throughout the playoffs. But last night they had an excellent performance from Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant was everywhere, had 26 points, efficient from the floor, 7 for 11. And not just that, he also played defense. He found himself in front of LeBron James, stayed in front of LeBron James. He found himself in front of AD, made AD pass it up. He just played so well on both ends of the floor that when you get a win in the playoffs, you're going to need that third scorer, that fourth scorer to have a game. And he had the game of his life last night. I've never seen Jeremy Grant play better than that.
And I'll name the fourth, Monte Morris, who also chipped in 14 points. It was a complete team effort by the Denver Nuggets, and that's how they was able to get that Game 3 win.
It was, and there was a point where that Game 3 win was in trouble. They had a 20-point lead. The Lakers did something they haven't done much of. They switched to a zone. They got that 20-point lead down to 12. Mike Malone calls a timeout. They talk for, a minute, 2 minutes, and then it gets down to 8. Mike Malone calls a second timeout, and they still can't stop the bleeding. Jalen, my question for you is, why was it so hard for the Nuggets and some other teams in the playoffs to figure out a zone?
Well, some really good defensive possessions by the Lakers, and you got to give them credit. Rajon Rondo was really physical out front. If you're a Nuggets fan, you probably think he got away with a couple of fouls. But either way it goes, they got out in transition. They got a couple of buckets. You got to give them credit. But don't look at the stat sheet on this game. Both of these teams shot over 50%. Okay? AD, his numbers jump out at you offensively and field goal percentage. But 2 rebounds in a playoff game? I need him going towards the front of the rim, Jacoby. I'm telling you, the Lakers will win the championship this year. And the reason why they're going to do it, you're going to look down at the stat sheet, and LeBron's numbers are going to look like they looked last night. And AD's numbers need to look like they looked every other night besides last night. That's what it's going to take in order for them to eventually get this thing done.
Well, it's not just the 2 rebounds. JaVale McGee, 1 rebound. Dwight Howard, 1 rebound. And Howard was in there for 14 minutes. It just felt to me like if Anthony Davis has 2 rebounds, they should be 2 offensive rebounds and 10 defensive rebounds for 12 rebounds. Now, Jalen, something happened in the game last night that I'm going to do the media thing and take way too far. I want you to watch this footage of Jamal Murray just trying to clear some space from LeBron James, because I think he did this intentionally. Watch him look at LeBron James in the replay. You'll see it. He sizes up LeBron James, looks him right in the face, and then lands an elbow to the chin. This wasn't like Rondo's forearm. He looks at him and then lands an elbow. Jalen, I think this was intentional. Look at this angle. Looks at him, lands an elbow. I think this was intentional. Jalen, do you think this was just something that happened as part of a course of a basketball game, or an intentional elbow to LeBron James's jaw?
When the last time somebody swung a fist a forearm or an elbow and it was unintentional. Is that even possible? So I can't say that, he didn't understand that he was throwing it. But what I will say is he understands the magnitude of these playoff games, and he wouldn't have been put himself in position to get suspended. I can't talk about how LeBron pain threshold is, because I probably would get shot, fall like I got shot with a gun and somebody hit me in this face. So some people might feel like LeBron sold it extra. Either way, I'm glad it was officiated the way it was.
Oh, LeBron definitely sold it extra. There's no question about that. He sells everything extra. But like Rondo later in the game was making a basketball play and hit someone in the face with a forearm, but he wasn't looking at him. Like Jamal Murray looked him right in the face and then was like, oh, okay, bong, and then moved on.
You
Great job by Jamal Murray if it was intentional.
Stuff.
Great job if it was intentional. He did a great job. He did a great job if it was intentional. That's all I got to say. Now, Jalen, for the Lakers to take a 3-1 lead, which we know is dangerous against the Nuggets, what is going to have to change about Anthony Davis's approach?
I need Anthony Davis looking at that colored area of the floor and getting a high percentage of his buckets there constantly. The Lakers dominated points in the paint in yesterday's game. That's what they're going to need to do. And AD is the catalyst for that. You mentioned Dwight, great. You mentioned JaVale, great. I'm telling you, in order for them to get it done, these are the early 2000s Lakers. You need the late, great Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal to be all NBA every game that you're going to win. That's just how this got to be. AD understands that. He had an amazing game-winning shot, 4-3 in the previous game. His level of aggression has to pick up on both ends of the floor.
Now, quickly, just to put a bow on this, you and I both had the Lakers coming out of this series, and we're just going to show you some numbers as to why. Because last night they played particularly poorly, especially one stat that I want you to look at. 0 for 9 from 3 when the closest defender was 6+ feet away. Wide open threes. You have 9 of them, and you go 0 for 9. I just don't think that they will repeat this kind of a bad performance. However, if they win Game 4, that's a 3-1 lead, and we know that is dangerous against the Nuggets. Moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. That is also a 2-1 series with the Celtics tonight looking to even the series at 2-2. What do you think one of the keys for the Celtics to do so is?
Two-way. Jalen Brown was everywhere. I was watching the game and they talked about how many steals that he had, and they were like 2. I was like, at that point of the game, I thought he had 10. He was deflecting balls, getting steals, grabbing boards, contesting shots, getting them out in transition, getting dunks for him, getting dunks for Tatum. When he and Marcus Smart are locked in, and Jalen Tatum and Jason Tatum is also a willing defender, and you put Gordon Hayward back in the lineup, he solidifies their 5-man group. This Celtic team had a level of confidence in clearly playing against man, but now against that zone that had given them problems. So Jalen Brown on both ends of the floor, they're basically unbeatable when he scores over 25 points.
See, I'm glad you brought up confidence, because I think one of the keys to the Miami Heat, and of course Jimmy Butler's great, Bam's great, and Goran Dragic is going to have a better game than he had in Game 3. But when I watch Tyler Hero play, he has so much confidence. He's willing to take any shot. Fourth quarter, 1 minute left, he's pulling up off the dribble from 3. He's a rookie in the league in the playoffs, and he's upping his stats from the regular season, giving you 14 points a game, 4 assists, just under 6 rebounds a game from the shooting guard position. I love everything that Tyler Hero has been doing, especially in this series. If he continues this, I really see the Heat, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I really see the Miami Heat winning the Eastern Conference and going to the NBA Finals. Great game tonight to look forward to, but we also turn our attention to the NFL. Cam Newton is under center for the Patriots, and every single week you just watch him play, and you're like, I cannot believe that he's basically playing for the minimum for the Patriots. But Cam Newton was asked about that, and it looks like he's going to get a big deal if things continue the way they have. He was asked about what motivates him. Is it money or is it other things? He said he hasn't accomplished the goals that he wants to accomplish, and he's out there for respect and not money. Do you believe him?
One of my favorite rappers is T Grizzly, and he has a saying that always stuck with me because, by the way, he spits bars.
Bars. Love T Grizzly.
He was like, don't worry about the awards. Get the rewards. And that makes so much sense because awards is something that in theory is man-given. Like, you don't really even know the politics that come behind that. But the rewards that Cam Newton are looking for, Jacoby, is a national champion that went undefeated in college. Been a number 1 overall pick, a terrific dual-threat quarterback, led a team to a Super Bowl, won an MVP, and he was jobless in July? Somebody didn't decide to even take a flyer on him, and we can get the Patriots all the credit into one. But they waited till that stock basically went under like what's happening in our country. Let's not act like they discovered something, okay? And so for Cam to be playing a chameleon style under quarterback, the first couple of weeks more running, second week more passing, it was just really great to see him catapult himself, like I said, back into the top 10 amongst quarterbacks in the NFL.
Well, I think him saying it's not about the money is very much the Patriot way, and buying into the Patriots way is what's going to get him to perform well in the field, and what's going to get him to perform well in the field is going to get him a huge deal this offseason. I wish him health, and I wish him much more success because I love to watch this story unfold every single Sunday. Jalen, it's time for me to go negative. It's time for negative. Jalen, my lovely wife, Joey, and I celebrated our 10-year anniversary of marriage. We've been together for 18 years. I don't know what she's doing with me. She's the most amazing woman in the world. And when we got engaged on the Brooklyn Bridge. We just did it quietly at night. On bikes, no one around, no fanfare, nothing like that. It was the exact opposite of this engagement proposal at the very same place. Okay, watch the. So they got a camera person doing video. Then you got a camera woman in the back, okay? And then she gets bodied by this bike rider. And I'm going to go negative on this. You know what happened when I got engaged? I didn't have a 2-camera shoot. I didn't have a videographer and a still photographer. I didn't have on a gold tuxedo jacket. Like, you don't have to do everything for the gram. Sometimes you can just get engaged because it's for the two of you and the bond that you're going to have for the rest of your life. It doesn't have to be videographer and a cinematographer and lighting and a gold tuxedo jacket. Sometimes you should probably just get engaged and just have that moment for each other. Not everything needs to be for the internet in 2020. I'm tired. Let's go to break. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. It is time for Jalen's favorite segment where he decides what we discuss.
Change.
It's called Keep It Moving.
Change.
If you want to discuss a topic, say hit the brakes. Otherwise, we will keep it moving. And we start with this big news. There's a new head coach in Chicago for the Bulls. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Billy Donovan has been announced as the new head coach in Chicago. Jalen, after Hoiberg and Bolin, seems like the expectations in the bar is pretty low for him to get over. What do you think?
I actually believe that this is a good hire for the Chicago Bulls. He's an accomplished coach, a 2-time champion in college. I appreciate how he continued to coach and remake whatever roster he was given in OKC, whether it's coaching MVPs like Russ, Victor Oladipo, Paul George. This year's team outplayed expectations, developing young talent. I'm not going to charge him with the diversity issue that not only takes place in the NBA, but also in mainstream corporate America. I think he's going to do a really good job if given an opportunity with that team.
So in all aspects of life, especially professionally, I like expectations to be as low as possible. And they're not expecting much from this team, but look at the young core they have. Your guy, Levine, you've got Lauri Markkanen, you've got Jacoby White, not Kobe White, Jacoby White, Wendell Carter Jr., and then you've got the number 4 pick. That's a nice core group that I don't think is going to, contend for a championship this year, next year, but maybe the year after that, maybe the year after that, if you make the right moves. Congratulations to Donovan. I think it's a good move for the franchise. Moving on. Adam Silver gave a little indication as to when we might see next season's basketball season start. Now, you've had your eye on this. When do you think they will start the next NBA season?
Shout out to the NBA and its players that's actually giving us great playoffs, Jacoby, and it's going to get us an NBA champion and a finals MVP, either LeBron James or Anthony Davis. I believe the NBA season will start between MLK Day and Valentine's Day. That's when I believe it's going to tip off, and then it will proceed to a champion at the end of August. And then I think over the next couple of years, you scale it back a couple of months, and then you get back to your normal calendar after a couple of more seasons.
Okay, so that'll be late January, early February. And then you think that over time, after season, they'll sort of recalibrate it back to what we're used to with an October start. Interesting. Moving on. Jalen, the Notre Dame-Wisconsin game has been postponed. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
No surprises. Keep it moving.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
The Rock gave a strange indication about some of his plans for the XFL. He posted this on Instagram, as he always does, from his gym looking swole. But it wasn't just this that he looked swole. It was, look at the end there. He says, so maybe I'll be the first owner in pro football history to actually suit up and play the game. Jalen, is this hype or could this be real?
He got the kind of career and the kind of opportunities and the kind of money. He ain't trying to get hit. I'll talk about not trying to get hit. I know he definitely A-list not trying to get hit. So here's what I will say. Not in the XFL, not in the CFL, not in the NFL. But from the back, and this is a compliment to the head coach of LSU, he looked like Ed Ogeron. From the back,
he mentioned Ed Ogeron. He mentioned Ed Ogeron
from the back as
because
well.
Ed Ogeron used to be his coach, and you know we love Ed Ogeron here at Jalen Jacoby. However, that is one of the biggest compliments. That is the biggest compliment Ed Ogeron has ever received in his whole entire life. Even after winning a championship, he's probably more proud that he was mistaken for The Rock than he was of the championship that he just won. Continue.
And for those that know how much I love the Miami Hurricanes, just Google an image that might be on an internet.
I would also say this. Maybe he will suit up, but he'll be a place kicker. Moving on. We have an update in the WNBA playoffs. Keep moving or hit the brakes. Aja Wilson and the Aces won over the Suns. She had 29 points, 13 for 19 from the field. Let's celebrate the MVP.
Well, let's talk about those 7 blocks. That's a celebration in itself. Shout to my guy, Bill Lambier. You know how much I love him as a Bad Boys Pistons fan. He's turned out to be an amazing coach in the WNBA.
Jalen, we have a potential versus battle on the horizon. I know you love these. So let's go ahead and hit the
brakes.
JD, Atlanta's own Jermaine Dupri, said he wants to face off against P. Diddy in a versus battle. Jalen, your initial thoughts, because I have a lot of thoughts about this one.
My initial thoughts, Jacoby, both entrepreneurs. I view more as producers turn artists than the other way around. So yes, they could do a versus and give us so many decades of hits because So Def and Bad Boy have been conglomerates in not only being successful companies, but giving us bars and great artists. I think they will be playing a lot of songs that they produce, not necessarily ones that they were featured on.
That's my point. I look at these as titans in the industry. However, these are businessmen, not artists. Like, did they produce any of the beats that they're going to play? No. Did they write any of the rhymes that they said in these songs? No. Like, they're businessmen. They might as well just come out there and show their bank accounts and then decide to win it right there. They might as well come out there with plaques instead of songs and just do that, because this isn't a true battle between artists. This is a battle between businessmen. They didn't write the lyrics. They didn't make the beats. They're just agents. They put it all together.
Diddy no disrespect to either of them. Don't worry about writing rhymes. I write checks.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point. And regardless, if this ever happens, I will tune in, but nothing will top Patty and Gladys. Jalen, I've got something that you really want to hear after this, and it has to do with the Arizona Cardinals. Stay tuned. You're watching Jalen. Huge night tonight on ESPN. It starts at 7:30 with Jalen and the Countdown crew, and then Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Can the Celtics even the series against the Miami Heat? Thank you so much for watching Jalen Jacoby on television, but don't forget, every single day on the podcast, we have exclusive content. Listen to that anywhere. Subscribe and download anywhere you get podcasts. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN. But because Jalen and I love the Cardinals so much, every once in a while we turn it into the Cardinals News Network. Welcome to the Cardinals News Network, because we have some Cardinals news. Patrick Peterson of the Cardinals has this to say about his second-year quarterback, Kyler Murray.
I truly, truly believe, you know, if he continues to keep that mentality and that mindset that he have, he definitely at some point will bring a Super Bowl here, you know, if he's still playing with the Cardinals.
He said at some point, if he stays, he will bring a Super Bowl to the Cardinals. Jalen, what do you think of that statement?
Kyler Murray showed he had that it factor last year when you the first overall pick and people question your height, and Russell Wilson becomes a model that breaks the mold, and then all of a sudden you play for a team that doesn't have playoff aspirations. You find ways to stay healthy. You find ways to stay productive. You're a dual threat quarterback. And then in the offseason, they get you DeAndre Hopkins as a weapon on the outside. That's how you continue to improve your squad. Patrick Peterson's been one of the best cover corners in the game, willing to shadow the best team's wide receiver anywhere on the field. So they're building something special.
We'll be back tomorrow on ESPN at 2 o'clock. Thanks so much for tuning in.